when saving lives means saving yourself. First, welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred pause where high achieving Black women unlearn survival and rediscover softness. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. And today we're diving deep into something that might just change your life. I recently had the privilege of sitting down with Kiani Porter, and let me tell you, the insights they shared hit different. We're talking about the kind of wisdom that makes you stop mid scroll, put your phone down, and really feel something. Kiani Porter is someone whose work in understanding human resilience, healing, and the emotional complexities of leadership has touched countless lives. They've spent years helping people navigate the impossible weight of responsibility while holding space for their own wounds. Their impact, it's the kind that doesn't just change minds, it saves souls. Because here's what Kiani Porter helped me understand. The work of healing isn't just personal, it's revolutionary. And sometimes the people changing the world are the ones who had to save themselves first. Now, before we go any further, I need you to hear this, really hear it. It's okay to not be okay. I know you've heard that before, but have you really let it sink in? Because for so many of us, especially Black women who've been holding down households, leading teams, raising families, and carrying entire communities on our backs since we were teenagers, admitting we're struggling feels like failure. It feels like we're letting everyone down, but acknowledging your pain, your confusion, your exhaustion, that's not weakness. That's the first act of courage on the road to healing. Let me tell you about someone who embodies this truth in the most powerful way. Joe Kiani, an Iranian American entrepreneur, founded the Patient Safety Movement Foundation after experiencing his own encounters with loss and the crushing weight of responsibility. He looked at a healthcare system where thousands of people were dying from preventable medical errors every single year. And he said, not on my watch. But here's the thing, his mission wasn't born from some detached sense of duty, it came from trauma. It came from the kind of pain that wakes you up at 3 in the morning and won't let you go back to sleep. It came from the kind of grief that follows you into boardrooms and hospital hallways and quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts. Kiani rallied clinicians, engineers, policymakers, people who were also carrying the emotional toll of these tragedies. And he created a space where they could be nutritionist, where they could say, I'm overwhelmed. I'm scared. I don't know if I can keep doing this. And you know what happened? That vulnerability, that willingness to admit they weren't okay, that's what saved lives. The Patient Safety Movement Foundation set an audacious goal: zero preventable deaths by 2030. And they're not just talking about it, they're doing it. Measurable decreases in preventable deaths. Healthcare workers finally getting the support they need to cope with trauma, a global movement built on transparency and truth. Hospitals around the world committing to evidence based practices, data being shared openly, mistakes being acknowledged instead of hidden, lives being saved because someone had the courage to say, we need help. This is what happens when we stop pretending we have it all together. This is what happens when we release the cape. This is what happens when we admit that strength isn't about never breaking. It's about being honest when we're already broken. Now, I want to talk about something that might feel a little uncomfortable: navigating trauma. Because trauma isn't just something that happened to you in the past, it's something you carry. It shows up in how you react when someone criticizes you at work. It shows up in how you can't say no, even when you're exhausted. It shows up in the resentment you feel toward people you love because you've been giving and giving and giving, and nobody's asking if you need anything. It shows up in the way you hold your breath when the phone rings late at night. It shows up in the way you overcommit, overextend, overfunction, because somewhere deep down you believe your worth is tied to your usefulness. Joe Kiani didn't just stop at the Patient Safety Movement Foundation. He founded Massimo, a medical technology company, because he saw how unreliable traditional pulse oximetry was. Babies were going blind, people with heart conditions weren't getting diagnosed, and the healthcare professionals trying to help them felt powerless. Imagine that for a second. Imagine being a nurse, a doctor, someone who went into medicine to save lives, and the tools you're given keep failing. The alarms keep going off for no reason. You start second guessing yourself. You start wondering if you missed something. You start carrying the weight of every patient you couldn't help. Kiani developed something called Massimo signal extraction technology, and it reduced false alarms by 95%. 95%. That technology is now used to monitor over 200 million patients every year. It's helped reduce blindness in premature babies. It's improved screening for congenital heart disease. It's given healthcare workers a tool they can actually trust. But here's what gets me. Kiani started Massimo in a garage. A garage he faced skepticism, doubt, the emotional burden of trying to prove that his innovation could actually save lives. He had to navigate his own confusion and resentment while building something that would change the world. And that's the thing about trauma. It doesn't disqualify you from doing great things. Sometimes it's the very thing that fuels your purpose. But, and this is a big but, you can't keep running on fumes. You can't keep carrying the weight of the world without ever setting it down, because eventually you'll break. And when you break, you won't just hurt yourself. You'll hurt the people who depend on you. You'll hurt the mission you're trying to accomplish. You'll hurt the future you're trying to build. This brings me to the third truth Kiani Porter shared with me, and it's the one I need you to tattoo on your heart. You are not alone. I know it feels like it sometimes. I know you look around and it seems like everyone else has it figured out, like everyone else is thriving while you're barely surviving. But that's a lie, a cruel, isolating lie. The truth is, everyone is carrying something. Everyone has wounds they haven't healed. Everyone has moments when they wonder if they can keep going. Joe Kiani, after decades of leading Massimo, after building a publicly traded company with over 8,000 employees, after introducing life saving innovations like the opioid halo system, he stepped away. He founded Willow Laboratories to focus on improving health span and lifespan. He launched New2, a personalized health and lifestyle platform that encourages incremental wellness goals, small steps, sustainable change. Because even someone who's saved millions of lives had to learn that healing isn't a sprint, it's a practice. It's a daily choice. It's a series of small intentional decisions to prioritize your own well being alongside the well being of others. Kiani's journey of leaving a successful company and embracing new challenges, that's the soft girl era in action. That's what it looks like to redefine strength, to say, I've been grinding for so long, and now I'm going to ground myself in something softer, something that nourishes me, not just everyone else. It's the courage to walk away from what's working to find what's actually fulfilling. It's the wisdom to know that success without peace is just another form of suffering. And here's where I want to get real with you. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, that's great for Joe Kiani, but I don't have the luxury of stepping away. I have bills to pay. I have people depending on me. I can't just reinvent myself. I hear you. I see you. But here's what I need you to understand. Softness isn't about quitting your job or abandoning your responsibilities. Softness is about how you show up for yourself in the midst of it all. It's about saying no without guilt. It's about setting boundaries without apology. It's about resting without explanation. It's about recognizing that you don't have to earn your worth by exhausting yourself. It's about understanding that you can be both powerful and tender. You can be both driven and at peace. You can be both ambitious and soft. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked in with yourself? Not the version of you that shows up for work, or the version that shows up for your family, or the version that shows up for your friends. I'm talking about the real you, the one who's tired, the one who's scared, the one who's carrying wounds you haven't even named yet, the one who cries in the shower, the one who feels like they're failing even when everyone else thinks they're winning. Because here's the truth: you can't heal what you won't acknowledge, and you can't protect your peace if you don't even know what's stealing it. Joe Kiani's work with the Patient Safety Movement Foundation, with Massimo, with Willow Laboratories, it all comes back to one central idea: transparency saves lives. When healthcare workers can admit they made a mistake, when they can share data openly, when they can ask for help, people live. The same is true for you. When you can admit you're struggling, when you can be honest about your pain, when you can reach out for support, you don't just survive, you start to heal. And healing, real healing, isn't it's not pretty, it's not linear. It's messy and uncomfortable, and sometimes it feels like you're getting worse before you're getting better. But it's possible. Even when life feels overwhelming, even when you're drowning in confusion and resentment and shame, it's possible to work through it by seeking support, by developing self awareness, by practicing self compassion, by taking one small step at a time, by refusing to carry the cape anymore. The Patient Safety Movement Foundation didn't just change policy, it changed culture. It created an environment where vulnerability was valued, where admitting you didn't have all the answers was seen as strength, not weakness, where asking for help was encouraged, not punished. And because of that cultural shift, because people felt safe enough to be honest, lives were saved, thousands of them. Imagine what could happen if we applied that same principle to our own lives. Imagine if we created a culture of honesty within ourselves, a culture where we didn't have to pretend to be okay when we're not. A culture where rest wasn't something we had to earn, a culture where softness was celebrated, not criticized. Kiani Porter reminded me that the people who change the world aren't the ones who have it all figured out. They're the ones who are brave enough to admit they don't. They're the ones who turn their pain into purpose, their trauma into transformation, their survival into something sacred. They're the ones who look at their brokenness and say, this doesn't disqualify me. This is exactly what qualifies me. You are not alone in this. Your pain is valid. Your struggles are real. And your healing, your softness, your joy, they're not just possible. They're your birthright. They're not luxuries. They're necessities. They're not things you get to have after you've done enough, earned enough, sacrificed enough. They're things you deserve simply because you exist. So here's what I need you to do right now, today, this week. I need you to take one step towards your own healing, just one. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be dramatic, but it has to be intentional. Speak openly about your struggles and seek support. Whether you're navigating what family responsibility, professional pressures, or personal trauma, start a conversation with someone you trust. Join a support group, pursue therapy, book that appointment you've been putting off, send that text message, make that phone call, write that journal entry, take that walk, say that prayer, cry that cry. Whatever your one step is, take it. And if you're sitting there thinking, I don't even know where to start here. Say it out loud. I'm not okay, and that's okay. Say it to yourself. Say it to someone you love. Say it to God. And Just say it. Because the moment you stop pretending, the moment you release the cape, that's when the real work begins. That's when the healing starts. That's when you stop surviving and start living. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be whole. It needs you to be honest. It needs you to be soft because your softness isn't weakness. It's the most radical form of resistance in a world that profits from your exhaustion. So take a breath, a deep one, and know that you are seen, you are understood, and you are so worthy of the peace you've been chasing. You're worthy of rest. You're worthy of joy. You're worthy of a life that doesn't require you to break yourself into pieces to be valuable. This is soft girl era where we unlearn survival and rediscover softness. And the revolution, it starts with you choosing yourself, even when it's hard, and especially when it's hard. Now go be soft, unapologetically, radically, beautifully soft, and watch how your life transforms when you finally give yourself permission to heal.